because it's important to begin on time if you want to end on time. So keeping that in mind, hello, good evening, good morning, and a warm welcome to everyone who is joining us from different parts of the world to Internet Society Mumbai, India Mumbai chapter. Internet Society Mumbai chapter is also an ICANN ALS. So welcome to our webinar on the topic Changing the Face of Travel, Role of the Internet. I'm Nanta Kaushal and I am a volunteer and president at ISOC India Mumbai chapter, as well as your moderator for this session. Before we begin, I want to inform everyone that this webinar will be recorded and it is already being live streamed across 110 ISOC chapters globally. So I hope no one has a problem with recording. Okay, or it being live streamed. So that's great. Thank you so much. Yeah. Coming back to the why we are having this session, why we're having this webinar. So the way we travel has completely transformed over the period, especially after COVID. As the digital landscape has evolved, so has our travel experiences, right? From the online booking platforms have replaced traditional travel agencies, long queues. They're offering users the convenience of booking flights at their homes, at their own comfort, accommodations, activities, they all are just few clicks away. Dynamic pricing has now so the transformation has happening and it is continued to happen and all this has happened because of travel tech, right? So as we talk more about it, like mobile apps, they now provide real-time updates on flight status. Payment solutions such as e-wallets facilitate seamless transactions, eliminating the need for physical currency. So in short, technological revolutions, innovations, commonly referred to as travel tech, have and continue to fundamentally alter our travel experiences. And to discuss more about this topic, I have two very special guests with me. My first speaker is Kalyanjit. Kalyanjit is an accomplished technology consulting across multidisciplinary domains. He is the chairman of Lugalsoft Group, which comprises a portfolio of companies in different tech and management domains. He is recognized as a pioneer in blockchain application and is involved in as an advisor or lead tech teams in various financial projects related to tokenization. He is an angel investor also with Mumbai Angels. He is a well-known public speaker on Web3, metaverse, artificial intelligence, entrepreneurship, startups, ecosystem, and you name it, angel investing, and in adoption in different business schools, universities, and corporates. He has an extensive experience in different technology stacks, starting from e-commerce, distributed applications, AI, ML, and Web3. He also holds a BTech degree in Electronics and Communication from NIT Kurukshetra, Haryana, and is an MBA from Pune University. With his extensive knowledge and experience in the industry, he is an asset to anyone who is seeking to explore or excel in this field. So, Mr. Kalyanjit, welcome to our webinar and thank you for agreeing to be our speaker. Welcome you to this webinar. Our second speaker is Namrata, Namrata Kadam, who is a seasoned travel professional with a career spanning over 14 years across diverse sectors of travel technology, where she has used her skills and passion for combining knowledge and technology to drive positive outcomes within travel partnership ecosystem. A travel tech specialist, she has leveraged blockchain technology to revolutionize travel distribution and connectivity, developing decentralized booking systems that ensure transparent and secure transactions while automating processes through smart contracts. She has previously worked with leading travel platforms and tech organizations, including Simrad OU, TravelPod, TravelBase, and IBM. As head of operations at Travel Maze, she navigated the complexities of B2B global reservation services, orchestrating the implementation of innovative solutions that boosted booking volumes and solidified our position in the market. Through strategic collaboration with technology partners, she has built scalable systems that empowered seamless travel experiences for her clients. Please join me in welcoming Namrata to this webinar. Thank you, Namrata, for agreeing to be our speaker, and we look forward to your insights and perspectives on how travel is going to be changed in coming years.
Thank you,
This
Ramita.
topic is personally really exciting for me and very close to my heart. So, without much ado, let's dive straight into the discussion. So, my first question to all of you, to both the speaker, is how do you visualize the future of travel changing in the age of internet? I mean, in terms of operations, in terms of consumer preferences, how, in terms of business models, how do you think they're gonna change? So I'll start probably with Mr. Kalyanjit, and then we can move to Namrata.
So, like if we travel these days, we use a lot of smart devices. Internet is always there, and we use our mobile phones, we use our laptops, we use our smartwatches. So we like if you are tech savvy, or if you are knowledgeable, like you know how this how technology is working travel with the travel industry, then obviously like you won't be depending on two travels or to get information. All the information is there in the internet. Like you search around and then like use your different websites to get out the cheapest and the best travel options you have. Then these days you also have like easy payment options where like you have different debit cards or different credit cards which works internationally. You don't have to carry cash with you. You just have to take the cards, and then like you have different payment options. And also like with the things where recently, like 2 weeks back, Apple has launched the Apple Vision Pro headset device. So we'll be having some exciting things in the travel domain as well. So maybe in the times to come, uh, travel companies, they'll let the user experience the metaverse, how the place is all about, and then by having the virtual experience, people might go in for the real experiences, real travel, and so all these things. And yes, we see a lot of changes, and travel in the times to come will be cheaper. Obviously, with more income generation, like people are getting more salary, and people are traveling a lot globally, and the distance between different places will not be much there. But and with this technologies like email, like as we have seen, like after 1995, like email and smartphones and all these things, it doesn't matter where you live. So you keep communicating with all your friends, with all your networks all over the globe. You get information about different places, and with social media around, like you see, and social networks like Instagram, you can feel the different places by watching all the different videos, reels of different places, different cultures. Yes, like it's an exciting thing, and like in the times to come, like we'll have more of technology like into it, and more people like availing the fun or experience of traveling. Yeah.
Thank you, Kalyanjit. Yes, definitely, we do hope, and it has become more convenient, especially with economic power rising. People are going more solo, so definitely it's changing not only the business aspect but also the socio-economic aspect.
Right.
I'll now move to Namrata and ask her, like, how does she envisage this change happening?
Sure. So I'm on the same lines as Kalyanji over here. Thank you. That was a brilliant insight into how it's going to be. I will add a little bit more about how, in terms of technology or travel tech, we see the internet helping out. So essentially, digital platforms will remain at the heart of all the transactions, no matter which part or which phase of the booking cycle a consumer is. Digital platforms will take over all of your interactions, whether it's from booking, from planning to booking, whether it's from travel partnerships to customer support. You will see a lot of chatbots, a lot of generative AI coming into place to enhance user experience. Digital platforms will remain both. It'll be innovative as well as it'll diversify in terms of regions. We see a lot of disruptive and non-disruptive technology coming in place. So not only will we have more apps, but we will also have something called as super apps, where we use one app that will now start supplementing multiple ways and multiple elements of your travel. So it just doesn't have to be one particular app for one particular reason to travel. I also see a lot of help coming in from AI and big data analytics. I do see a lot of increasing personalization that will come into play with the usage of AI, whether it's individual preferences or if it's ensuring that there are more customized and satisfying travel experiences, we'll see that. Up until a few years back, we never really thought that we can sit in a stranger's car and travel anywhere. And if you look at it today, we do so much of it, no matter which part of the world, whether it's through Ubers or Lyfts or things like that. So there would be a lot of peer to peer services that will come in play, where a lot of customers will start becoming as partners in terms of providing solutions for travels, whether regional or on a global platform. This will, of course, increase greater flexibility, affordability, and opportunities, like Mr. Kalyanjit said earlier. What I also see is the rise of a group of people that work remotely. And so that's kind of taking away the gap between business and leisure travel. So there's a new term now called be leisure travel, where people will start using their business travels to explore more leisure activities. And that will increasingly go on because you have more flexibility, you have more global reach to kind of sit anywhere in the world and work. So you see a lot of people who will be assimilating this. With that, there will be a rise of new policies, new cancellations, and new deadlines in place, which will enable such people to travel and enable more tourism while everyone also is able to provide for work. Lastly, I feel health and safety concerns. So we are already seeing a rise of a lot of protocols and contactless technologies, whether it's health screening measures and just certain elements that were not a part of our travel experiences have now become standard across the travel industry. So as it keeps progressing with time, we will see a lot of these developing so that it gets easier for people to get through to these barriers and enjoy a seamless travel experience. So I feel overall these are my few cents about how it's going to be.
No, they are like wonderful, especially the aspect on super apps and definitely the evolution of new policies and no new protocols as driven by, brought about by the changes that we have faced in digital realm. So definitely those two were very aligned as well as insightful perspectives and something I guess in future we all will be working on and experiencing as consumers. So then as we all like we have agreed the travel is going to increase, the ease with which we are going to travel is more people are going to travel, and as we travel more there will be more interaction with other communities, other societies, other ecosystems. So how do you see internet being used as a medium to promote that cultural exchange, facilitating that understanding between communities, between societies as you travel to different parts of the world? So how do you see internet being that harbinger of, or, being that facilitator of a new way of society? So I can maybe start again with Kalyanjit here and then move on to Namrata.
uh, Here these days, like as you know, like we're in the web 2 world where like let me talk briefly about web 1, web 2, web 3. So in the initial days in 1990s when internet came about, like we used to read the information, so that was web 1. Then came web 2 where we read and write, but we don't own the content. So all these application like Facebook, Instagram, we don't own the content. Now in the coming times we'll be having web 3 where we read, write, and also own the content. Whatever we post the content, like it will belong to us, we can sell it. So in this a scenario, we will be having a lot of new businesses like coming up in the travel domain, a lot of new. Then also, like if you notice that, like if we browse around social networks like Instagram and Facebook, like we see a lot of different groups on travel, on different cultures, and then reels, and then we see a lot of localized like YouTube stars or localized like influencers. And if you notice, sometime back, like we have I think a brother sister from Kenya who used to sing Bollywood songs, and now like he's moving into local regional songs in India, and they are famous in lip syncing all these songs. So yes, so because of all these videos, we know a bit of culture, what's there, and what to expect before traveling there. And with the amazing world of internet and with lots of information in our mobile phones and all the smart devices, like you don't need to and also with like all this AI content and everything, like it's all it'll only show us information like which you want, so we spend less time to get more information from like internet. Like we don't have to browse around, spend days researching about something. So we also see a lot of documentaries being made like about history, and also movies being made about history and about what so all these things like it adds to interest, it adds to interest among the youth or among the general public, so that we do a research and we also know about history or culture in any part of the world. And yes, and also we have a lot of websites dedicated to like cultural exchange, a lot of films. Yes, and obviously with internet, like place doesn't matter. Like you don't have to uh, do a face-to-face contact with someone to get to know the culture. Like you can get this information before coming in touch with anybody. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. And that you mentioned, I have also seen so many reels where our culture has extended beyond India and Australian speaking Bihari, North Korea, I guess South Korean speaking Bihari, and they're dancing on different songs. So yes, that is like one way in which internet has allowed that intermingling across cultures and has influenced us in like more ways that we had anticipated. So thank you for that insight, and I'll now move to Namrata to ask her, like, what does she think, how it will promote more cultural simulation?
So I second the thought for sure. Social media has taken the world by storm, and it will continue to, in terms of the existing social media as well as whatever new formats that we see rising. um, Truly, it allows people to, like, again, new opportunities in terms of being a vlogger or a blogger have come in, which did not historically exist. So a lot of people capture the essence because they are the core traveler and they are also their own production team. So they kind of they capture the core of places that they travel, the experiences that they come across, cuisines, customs, what have you, all of those. So, of course, social media will play an important role. In fact, I was attending one of these seminars where there was a pitch for a startup where they said that, you can now choose a country and they will show you 10 images of the country. And based on your preferences of the images, they kind of create an itinerary for you where on based on the images that you selected, they will make, like, whether it's multi-city tour or if it's just within cities or if you have a layover. And so such technologies will come in where, a lot of your time in traveling or a major chunk of your travel arrangements is your planning and your due diligence before you actually make the arrangements. So all of those will start, it'll start being automated now. So that kind of takes it from your hand. It takes it away. Another thing which is very interesting, which I realize, is that with virtual reality, you can now actually, if you don't have the means or let's say you don't have the leaves to go and visit a certain country at large, you can actually access it within your VR headset. Like you can have an immersive experience and you can visit all of these sites. You can, go across destination, landmarks, what have you. And it kind of will create like a soft landing before you actually get there and experience the people and the culture. But of course, this will also go into promoting the culture. We do see a lot of people who are now using the internet to learn new languages. It used to seem improbable a couple of years before, because we only had to have a teacher, or we had to have to go to a language school. But now that seems at the tip of our fingertips. So internet has, reduced the gap between learning and between information exchange. So those things are also. Another one which comes to my mind is, I suppose, crowdsourced content, which was not a leader initially in the industry but is now. So we will see a lot of crowdsourced content that is there available to create an impact and promote cultural exchange, to understand other people's cultures from their eyes and from their experiences versus knowing it through, like a guide when I go somewhere, or knowing only few informations or few things that are leveraged historically. Um, I believe last would be along the lines of creating, for this example, we are live streaming information exchange today. Very soon, we'll be live streaming a lot of virtual events and a lot of cultural events. I'm sure we do that already. We do see a lot of concerts and things going on Web3 now. Sir can back me up. And we see a lot of other things which are on Web3. In fact, the music group ABBA, it has recently created a holographic image of itself, of their younger version, and that exclusively now goes and performs in the concerts and not the original members. So the band lives on a lot longer than what it would in terms of its presence and also revenue generation and giving the people what they want. So there would be such efforts in the future as well that the internet will be instrumental in bringing about.
That was fabulous, Namrata, especially about. I wasn't aware about that ABBA
Yeah.
aspect and that they are using it for such things. So yes, that's amazing. I know, like AI, they say that can be dangerous and everything, but I think it has simply changed a lot of things and for the better. And we're so amazed. So yes, that was a very different perspective on cultural exchange. Seriously, I'm one of those who was using a web like app to learn new languages and become much more aware about the cultural aspects. I know, like, while
Yeah.
I'm planning to travel solo, I'm also doing all that research to understand what are the cultural things that are more culturally acceptable if you are going to a different country. For example, I got to know from an app that while traveling in Paris, you should be very careful about where
Yeah.
you are sit, because they have those seating places and it is looked up very culturally down upon if you are like not following. So all these things, one becomes aware and much more like, what do you call, a global citizen. um, and
Absolutely.
internet has aided in that well. So b- now moving on to the next question, which somewhere is an extension, not exactly similar, but an extension to what like we have discussed, is how we can now make travel more sustainable. Because you mentioned, as we're going to travel more, of course, economy and everything will, you know, it will be, the market is, I guess, more than 4 billion or so in terms of USD. But as we travel more, as more and more people visit these countries, we have seen it can sometimes have an adverse impact on sustainability and environment. So how do you see that here? While at one hand it is going to increase the number of people who are going to travel and are consumers, but how on the other hand can internet be used to make travel more sustainable and environment friendly? I mean, AI, that VR, um, that Google Lens or Apple headset was one of the ways. I think it can be made sustainable. Like, but what are some other ways where internet can come in to make it much more sustainable and environmental friendly? So maybe I can like flip this time and start with Namrata and then move on to Kalyanjit, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure, sure.
Sure. So Namrata, you can like go ahead.
Sure. So, in terms of more sustainable options and creating an environmentally friendly option in terms of travel, we do see a rise of carbon offsetting tools that are in place. They are largely used right now for business travel. So you see a lot of organizations that have heavy traveling. What they do is they also have online tools and perhaps carbon calculators to kind of understand the impact that they create by the travel. And then what they do is they accordingly go and invest, sorry, in projects that will help offset the carbon footprint, whether it is through reforestation initiatives, whether it is through renewable energy projects, whether it is giving back to the communities that are, not doing very well, in terms of helping out people, children, in terms of providing supplies. So there are a lot of these new initiatives that have already come in place, but we will see more personalized and customized options coming in place as we keep progressing. Um, a lot of companies have mandated CSR. In a lot of those CSRs, they go and they pick up options for carbon offsetting because they realize that it's not just travel, but also the day to day of running an organization that has a lot of carbon impact or carbon footprint behind. I do see there being a lot of information and education on the internet, which is validated and it is then created as a Rolodex through blogs, websites, online forums that will give out sensible and accurate information in terms of what are the tips and what are the resources that travelers should look for when they want to reduce their environmental footprint, when they want to create responsible tourism practices, or they want to create sustainable packing tips. It can start from a very small element, and really it can start from your the way you pack to the way you travel and what you leave behind. We see a lot of travelers who are now traveling with their own water bottles, which was never the norm, but we're doing it. So, slowly and steadily, from such small initiatives, we will see a lot of large initiatives also coming in play. There are, in fact, a lot of annual collaboration and networking events that happen with a lot of sustainable travel stakeholders that come in to discuss and create informed decisions based on what would work better for the environment. How can they manage their own regions in terms of such initiatives, and how can they implement that? So we will see all of that as well. Like I said before, a lot of peer-to-peer platforms reduces the need to buy more. So, for example, when car rentals were always brand new cars bought by companies or second-hand cars bought by companies and then put out there for renting, we see a lot of people who maybe don't use their cars regularly, and so they put their cars out for rentals and so on. So that kind of reduces the need to buy more, creating more sustainable options in terms of peer to peer sharing and peer to peer engagement. So besides this, I suppose largely there will be a green travel certificate progress and programs in place where we will have online platforms and directories of accommodations, of tour operators, of destinations that have been certified as environmentally friendly and recognized by sustainable certifications. So we do see a lot of that coming along the way. Of course, progress will be slow because it's a new change, and anything that is new, takes time. But we do see a lot of those initiatives in place, and with companies, with partners like Internet Society, we know that there is due diligence in place for all the access which is available online. So yeah, so I think that's all from me.
That was great and wonderful, and definitely I wasn't aware about that aspect of travel, about how we can use carbon credits and others to,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and become more involved in keeping our tourism and travel more environment friendly and sustainable. Thank you for sharing that important information. I'll now move on to Kalyanjit and ask, what are your perspectives on this? You're on
Yeah,
mute, yeah.
yeah. So first of all, talking about carbon emission, carbon credits, and all, uh, most of the people, the general public, are not aware of what it is and how it is contributing to living people uh, surviving on Earth. So that needs to be educated. And nowadays we see a lot of travel websites. When you book tickets, or it will show the carbon footprint like you're making, and then it'll also tell you to donate some money based on the to offset your carbon footprint, so that donation is used uh, to that donation is given to some environmental organizations which does work in sustainability and all these things. And we also see, like if you notice, like if we uh, open Google Map, and then like if we want to travel from one destination to another, like it will give the different options like how we can travel. And it also gives the methods where we can also go by walking, or we can also go by cycling, where the carbon footprint is reduced in case of travel. So these options, like in the times to come, more people will be aware what it means, and more people will be using all these methods, and more uh, people will donate to these organizations, which helps in reducing carbon emission and generating carbon credits. Now we see a rise in a lot of platforms where you can buy these credits. Like as you're aware, companies like industrial units, oil companies, they emit a lot. Uh, they're giving a lot of carbon emissions and all, and to offset that, they buy credits. They donate a large part of the money to like organizations which help them the other way. So all these like exciting things, like peer to peer, like I mean to say, the like among different like individuals, organizations, uh, like in the times to come, all these exchange platforms will be there, where people will uh, exchange their credits. And then we also see a role of travel bloggers and like influencers. They're making videos about what it is and how they can, how travelers can reduce all this carbon footprint and then contribute. Like we need more awareness about the topic, and more participation, so that we can have a better future in the times to come. Yeah, thank you.
Definitely, definitely. And, I'm also happy that you mentioned about those different aspects when you get on Google Map and all, where we prefer to walk instead of taking a car. And that is in our own ways, we are contributing to, a more sustainable travel. At that time, maybe we may not realize. But like now
And
that when it is like put forth in
and
discussions, we need to realize. Yeah.
one more like I want to add, we these days, like we are seeing a lot of startups on climate change, on sustainability. So a lot of funding will happen in that domain, where a lot of companies who are emitting, so they'll be funding a lot of startups to help in sustainable living and sustainable ways of life. So these things are being promoted, and also will be having laws by different like governments, where we have uh, uh, like all these things will be implemented in the times to come.
No,
Like new laws
definitely.
will come up.
Climate tech is definitely one of those areas which is
Right,
upcoming,
right.
and I'm aware a lot of people are going into this domain because of not only the impact but how it is going to come and become big in coming times. So yes, and that those were like very, I think, useful perspectives, especially at this time when we are talking about sustainability, where we are talking about how to make world better, and internet is such an integral part of all our discussions and our life. So I think those perspectives are very important, in especially as part of today's narrative and discussion. And now, like moving on to something, that I don't know, we usually not discuss, but maybe something that is a good place to explore is how how can in future travel companies use GTLD? A GTLD, if I like for common people, it's basically your generic top level domain. So your top level domain names are something like, dot com or dot in or other things that we use, when we use a website and others. So how can travel companies use GTLD ecosystem to promote consumer interest? And here I will probably like to start with Kalyanjit again, because he comes from that particular area and specialization. So probably, I mean, you can let's start here.
Yeah, so these days, like as you know, .com, like you cannot buy a domain .com or .org because like almost all the names are booked, because since 1994 95, this internet, uh, the organizations, like the different authorities which sell the domain names, like almost like everything is booked. Now like we have some different new domains, like where like you can choose like any name you want. So all these new developments are there. And then also we have new domains like .travel, .club, dots, like you name it, and most of the things are there. This is done because the names are exhausted, .com and .org, and also to promote different, since the internet is full of information, and then like you might get lost in it. So that's why we have specific this top level domain names for different work for different domains. And if you notice in AI, like we have uh, a different sites related to AI, having the TLD.ai. So similarly, like in the future, we'll be having a lot of travel related business having the domain name .travel, or let's say like we have a travel club, so we can have a travel.club is a popular name. I don't think like it's already available, because these things are like easy to market and easy to promote and brand it. And so we, so yes, like we'll be having a lot of new internet names, where people will find it strange initially that what is what is his name about. Like I have not seen it, but like in the times to come, people will accept new names, .travel or .club, or it can be also specific to one location. So let's say like in the times to come, we might have some locations like .delhi. So and then like we have some like websites promoting a part of Delhi, and then we have a specific website name like channichowk.delhi. So names like interesting names, or names like which is very easy for people to remember. So all these things will obviously come. And now, like if you notice, also large companies like .oracle, .microsoft, they have already bought their own domain names. So .microsoft is having a lot of pet projects in different subdomains, like which might be internal to them, or some might be released for public work, or for so public websites. So similarly in travel also, we'll be seeing a lot of customized and specific branded domain names or websites with all this like interesting and easy names to remember, and market the uh, market the this thing. Um, uh, yeah. So that's all. Like,
No. They were great, and I was like, it would be fun to have Chandni Chowk dot Delhi. Although I
right.
am aware of, yeah. So like, that would be like interesting
and
to
uh,
see.
and also there is a like interesting in Web3. So we have got blockchain domain names. So blockchain domain names are names like which you cannot censor. So like the government cannot censor these domain names. So like in the future, like you'll be having sites, we'll be having contents which is there forever. Like you cannot erase it from internet. So all these things are also coming in the future, where like we'll be having blockchain domain names which will which will require a special browser. Like we might not be using browser like Google Chrome or Internet Explorer. Like we might be having special Web3 browsers, where we can browse those sites. So a lot of private networks will also exist, uh, something like which you talk about the underground world. So those things are also coming in the future. And so yes,
Great. Namrata, I'll move on to you now.
Sure. So while I'm not I'm not a big expert on GTLD, great, good practices, but I do recognize that brand protection and intellectual property are very important to any business. One of the organizations that I was working with, they had a complaint by at least a few customers that we went to your website, we put in your details, we booked a ticket, and we didn't, our money was gone and we didn't get any tickets. And so when we inspected, we realized that it was just one alphabet different from the original website. And there was someone who had masked the entire website and was kind of cyber squatting and, impersonating the brand and taking in the customers and so on. So it was very scary in that element. And so what I recognize is that by the companies, by using top tier and secure domain names, one can be sure that if such elements ever occur, you have the right to fight cyber crimes, and your fight becomes stronger if you know you have protected your people, your company, and your customers by using best practices. It indirectly creates trust and credibility. Like today, we've gotten so used to now looking at HTTPS and getting into a website, and when we don't, our browsers have now started telling us that, hey, do you trust this? Like, are you sure you want to access this website? So there are a lot of those things that will come into play, which will it belongs to the legitimacy and trustworthiness of a company. Another thing which I feel like by using, at least if you can use country code top level domains, what you can do is target your markets, or at least create some kind of localization or geo-tagging in terms of your companies. I do see a lot of websites, like how Sir said, that these are, if they are .in or .uk or they are .country, they are mostly used by the government, which goes to show that, they're trying to create that segmentation within the GTLDs in the market. But besides that, I do suppose that it will create for an enhanced user experience. Like, a user will know that this is the right website, this is the right place to be. I'm not sure if historically it has backed SEO and search rankings, but I'm interested to explore. Actually, I got started because of the webinar. I got started into thinking about, hey, does this impact the SEO rankings in any way? And while historically it has not, they do say that travel companies may benefit by using industry specific GTLDs, or at least location based CCTLDs. So, those are some of those elements which can be incorporated in terms of broad spectrum security and usage of internet.
No, definitely, definitely, and we do see that happening in future. In the interest of time, I'll now move on to the Q&A round, and for that, I would like to invite our chapter secretary Nupur. So Nupur, the floor is yours, and we have like good 8 minutes for discussion of Q&A. So any questions anybody has, please raise your hands, or you can unmute yourself and straight away ask the question. So yeah, any questions anywhere? Nupur, the floor is yours. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nanta. Thank you so much, Kalyanjit and Namrata. That was a very informative session. So, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to raise your hand or unmute yourself directly. Um, or you can even type it in the chat if you cannot unmute yourself. So, I will ask the question on your behalf. So,
So yeah, I have one question, and I would wanted to ask this. We have heard so much about, and Namrata also mentioned slight way in which internet society can come in. So I wanted to know in all this discussion, how can we as a chapter be internet society can come in and play the role? What are the areas where you see we can come in and play an active role in travel tech? So, anybody can take this question, like Kalyanji to Namrata, like it's open for both of you.
Yeah, a lot of startups are also making applications in travel tech. So to maybe do some tie-up with different like incubators, like helping them with your knowledge about the travel industry and how it works and uh, all the different connections. And we do have like incubators in like India as well as elsewhere, where they're promoting different uh, startups in different domains, climate tech or travel tech or whatever. And we can also bring in the large players in the travel market to also join and promote tourism and travel, where they can also fund and give some grant to this incubator, so that a lot of projects and development happen in that field.
Definitely tie-ups, and those are definitely way creating awareness like these
Right,
webinars,
right.
and definitely something that we are trying to do. We are also coming up with a newsletter on this theme of travel tech in next month, where we are trying to like touch upon different topics like e-passports, or how like solo traveling gives you like empowerment. So a lot of other things we are trying to touch upon. So like Namrata, over to you. Like what do you have for us?
So, largely, Internet Society is doing a great job, no doubt. The internet is such a big place to capture the essence and to make it more safe and more, free form is a work in progress. In all of this, what I do see is that advocacy and policy engagement is one of the larger ways in which Internet Society Mumbai can help is through building policies and regulations that promote a more secure, open, and inclusive environment. Something which not only includes domain name policies or how do you foster innovation or competition, but also engaging the government agencies or regulatory bodies or some industry stakeholders to kind of influence the development of domain names or how the internet can be made more regulatory and higher in standards. I do recognize that there is a lot of capacity building and education that Internet Society already does, which is wonderful. And I feel like they should just keep going, keep at it because it's great initiative. It's for the betterment of the internet. And I do recognize that there is a lack of people using the internet and people recognizing the technical expertise that goes behind using the internet. So maybe the bridging the gap in some way or educating people into the more technical aspects that they might only get by a formal education or by a course or by a certificate program. If we can assimilate more technical elements and who for people who are interested in it, I think that'll be great. Besides that, I feel like just collaboration with all, like there are so many fantastic chapters and so many diverse people in it contributing, like yourself, Nandita, like Nupur, like so many people that have worked on such great projects. So just an overall cross collaboration between chapters, I suppose, will recognize not only the efforts but also bring out more unique thought processes that might lead to some new advancements and some more understanding of what are the best practices and what are more collaborative initiatives and joint advocacy campaigns that can be brought in to create an instrumental change. So I feel just that. I feel like more communication about the topic will be great.
Great.
Okay, I see Pratik's hand is up to ask a question. Pratik, you want to unmute yourself and ask?
Yeah. So, hi Namrata and Kanyanjit. Thank you for this valuable session. And I just want to know your one-line thought on what do you think about space travel? Because generally, when we are discussing travel, somewhere we were kind of restricted to Earth, but ISOC also kind of works on space travel. In fact, our founder of ISOC, Vincent, uh, plays a very critical role in interplanetary internet. In future when internet will go in that area. But considering that we have a paucity of time, I just want to know, a line from you each. on what do you think about space travel?
With the advance of technology, and we will with people like Elon Musk, we'll be having space travel. We'll be having housing a colony in Moon and in Mars in the times to come. This is not like imagination. This will happen, and so with we'll be having also housing in the air, like in space, where with technology and everything and all, like humans can survive and have ecosystem in space, and people will explore those options, and people who doesn't have guts will not opt for it. So uh, that's my thought on it.
Thanks, Kalyanji. Namrata, over to you. What do you think about it?
Thanks, Pratik. That's a very interesting question. You know, it's 9:30 in the morning. I did not think about space travel, I suppose. But I believe that, you know, it's largely, at least for the next, let's say, a decade. I will address a decade. It's for those with disposable income, and a lot at that. I don't
Right.
suppose majority of the chunk of people, or at least over 80% of the world's population, envisions traveling to space, at least at this point. So I do recognize that the efforts are made, but it can only be made by a select few for a select few at this point. And it'll become, it's going to take a while till it becomes, you know, a large consumer based product. So that's my thought on it, for sure.
Thanks, Namrata. Over to you, Namrata.
Yes, so we'll unfortunately have to close the Q&A session because of the time. We we look forward. I mean, you can share your emails if you're comfortable, and then people can ask the questions personally if they have more questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Nupur, and I'm very
Yeah.
sorry due to paucity of time, we'll have to do it. So yes, please share your email ID so that people, if they have questions or LinkedIn or whatever you are comfortable, but they can reach out to you and ask you. And I'll just quickly deliver a vote of thanks. And with this, we have come to an end for this wonderful event. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I hope everybody else did. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank a few people who ensured successful execution of this event. First and foremost, the speakers, Kalyanjit and Namrata, thank you so much. I think it was great discussion, a new knowledge creation, and a wonderful, insight share. So thank you for taking us on this unforgettable journey. Next, Jigmet Dolkar, who has been a driving force behind this webinar, played a critical role in conceptualizing, designing the material as well as rapporteuring for the event. So thank you so much, Jigmet. Big thanks to Nupur, Shweta, Pratik for helping with the coordination and support to the event. Valentine, your support in creation of design and flyers is greatly appreciated. And thank you, Jolly, for live streaming this event and taking us to places beyond India and Canada. And last and most importantly, the wonderful audience for their questions and enthusiasm. Thanks for joining us today. And now, before we end, let's have a quick click. Please, all those who can unmute and come on camera, please do so. And we will be creating a report which will become part of our newsletter on travel tech, and it will be shared across all the chapters, and we'll be sharing with you also. So I'll just click, and thank you so much and have a great day, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I close the call now.